It's the old Doctor Who show, episode number 52, Resurrection of the Daleks.
Go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine. You couldn't control my mind before, and you certainly can't control it now.
Would you like a joke, Debbie?
The TARDIS, when working properly, is capable of many amazing things.
Reverse the polarity of the neutron flows, and the TARDIS will be free of the force field.
Well, the TARDIS is more than a machine. It's unity, like a person, you see.
Resulting reaction. Describe it. Are you ready?
It's the old Doctor Who show, your classic tri-weekly Doctor Who review podcast. As always, I'm Eric.
And as sometimes, I'm Dan.
And we got to change that up and come up with
a wacky
names
intro
and new identities. Yeah, how are you, Dan? It's been 3 weeks.
I'm doing great. Hey, some
Time
big
flew.
news. Big news in comics land.
Yes, my book finally came out. It is available now. You can.
I received it in the mail. I was tracking its progress across the United States.
Oh, that explains why I can see it in your toilet behind you. Like behind Dan. It's just my book. And mine and Will's book.
Yeah, Will Perkins, man. He's a great artist. I love his style.
Yeah, it came out officially. It came out in comic stores, which I may have mentioned here, on the 22nd, I think, and then December 5th. So it should be in your local bookstore if they were cool enough to order it. But you can get it just by asking them. They have to, by law, they have to order it.
The law of comic books.
That's the law. If you go in there and say, I want it, they don't have it, they got to get it. So do that and make sure they stock it.
Yeah. It's great stuff.
That's it. We don't need to talk about that, Dan.
No.
Down that road.
Just so you folks know, again, this is another After Dark episode. Eric and I are recording a little bit earlier than normal.
Yeah, because you're going.
Time.
Can you tell people, or is that too personal?
It's a secret. I don't want all of our fans to track me down.
Well, that's how people get robbed, Dan, is they subscribe to podcasts, they wait for the host to go away, then they find out when they are going to go away.
You're right.
They adjust for the time between the recording and release of the episode.
I'm not going to tell you when and where I'm going, but
you were going somewhere where there's no internet.
I think they have internet. I'm just going to try not to use it.
Yeah, you will not have internet.
I'm going to try not to use it while I'm there. Get away from this country for a little while.
Need a break.
We'll see if I can get back in again.
What, you're not into minor anxiety attacks by the minute?
Oh, are they still minor for you?
It's
are they still minor? Because minor
was sarcasm.
It's also major depression right now, which is really fun.
Sarcasm.
So that's happening. You know. So I'm looking forward to that. So we're recording now, and I'm on a plane in just a few hours. So let's get to it.
2017 is a terrible year. It's a weird year. It's like literally California's on fire. Like I have friends in California, and I'm seeing their photos, and there's just walls of fire, and people are losing their houses. It's horrible.
It's terrifying. But let's save all that for our yearly wrap show.
Let's talk about Doctor Who.
All right.
Let's bring back the Daleks together. Let's resurrect.
Yeah,
I got nothing. We don't have anything. We got nothing to talk about other than that, right?
Let's get it.
It's fine. So hit the button.
Tell me about the Dalek defeat.
You already know most of it. The Daleks and the Movellans were locked in an impasse. Each time their respective fleets attempted a stratagem, it was instantly anticipated and countered by their opponent's battle computer.
Two totally logical war machines unable to outthink each other. Fascinating! If only I'd been there.
But then the Movellans found the answer. Sorry, sir.
Quickly, tell me.
They developed a virus which exclusively attacks the Daleks. The fleet was destroyed. Those who survived went to separate parts of the universe to escape the risk of further infection and work on a cure.
Have they succeeded?
Not yet.
So, they have returned to their creator. Like an errant child, they have come home once more. But this time, they will not abuse me. This time, I
is Resurrection of the Daleks. This is the 4th serial of the 21st season. I can't believe we were old enough to drink at this point. This is 1984, directed by Matthew Robinson, and written by Eric Soward. I never know how to say it. Seward. I want to say Seward, but there's A's in there.
I say Soward.
Doesn't matter. Some strange business is going on in 1984 London, and murderous police seem to have their hands in it. The Doctor and his companions are dragged down towards a time corridor in the same area that is most likely connected to the Weirdos in Blue. Was it? You betcha it was. And before you know it, the Doctor is caught up in a horrific bloodbath and must walk over piles of corpses in order to uncover a Dalek plot to bring Davros back, but not all the way back, just back enough to create a cure for a Movellan death virus. What did you think of this totally simplistic plot of Resurrection of the Daleks, Dan?
I really enjoyed your summary of it, man. Yeah. We should really watch these together. I really enjoyed the crap out of this one.
Really?
I loved it.
See, that's strange. We're on two opposite... I thought it was kind of terrible.
I thought it was one of the better episodes I've seen.
Really? Okay.
Ever.
All right, that's actually a long time. Cool that we're so far apart. I will say there's plenty of good things in it. There's lots of stuff to like, but it you know what it is? It's a hot mess. Like this story was a complete hot mess. Is the
in
best
what way?
Way
Because too much was happening, or
it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yes, it does.
The budget was really showing.
I didn't think
so. The dramatic nature of the stuttering guy with some of these where he gets hit and he's injured, and then he's half the time he's like overly.
Do you have any food?
And then he forgets.
Do you have any food?
That he has.
Do you have any food?
We'll get into the plot, but the plot doesn't really make any sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
And it's one of those things that I feel like when you watch it, you're like, oh, I can follow this. And then when you think about it, like after I watched it, I thought about, okay, well, what happened in this? And the more I started thinking about it, I was like, well, this doesn't make any sense. And it felt like super bored with itself, too. Well, let's start at the beginning, because
okay.
You talk me into loving it, because I did not like it. Although I think the cast was good, and it was just it was a cast in a bad. It was a hot mess. That's what it was.
Okay.
It was sort of
we
all over the place.
We are completely opposite here, because I liked all the things you didn't like, and the only problems I had were some of the actors and their performances.
Yeah, well, not
so
all,
that's where
right,
I had
not all
issues.
of like the stuttering guy I said was way over the top, and
he was all right.
He was terrible at times. Like when he was
all right.
hurt or whatever. Do you remember like later on in the?
Yeah, he gets shot in the hallway.
Was this a two-parter? Because we both watched it from a video,
a DVD,
or a DVD.
Yeah.
So
it was a two-parter. Very unusual, same length of story, but broken only into two pieces instead
45
of
minutes
4.
or whatever. Yeah.
So
it was in the second half where he gets injured and he's like, oh, myself. And then he forgets about it and he's just doing whatever he does. And he's got that overly dramatic death scene at the end.
Okay, that scene was kind of crazy. And the way that it was shot, too, was nuts. Okay, all right.
And Tegan does nothing in this. It's her last... spoiler.
She does one very important thing.
Yeah, she lies down in a sleeping bag, cuddling with the Movellan death capsule. But she does nothing. The Doctor follows this... I don't know. There's so many things that I can talk about at once.
Disliking this. You're going to really
talk about it, because I'm still waiting for the distress signal. The ship was going to come back, where they were like, Davros, we got to get you out of here. He's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm going to work on the cure for this thing, which he never does. He never works on the cure for it.
Well, he wasn't. Yeah.
It's a problem for him and his people. But anyway, he doesn't want to.
Well, he didn't know it was a problem for him. That was the thing. He didn't know that he was going to be affected.
Where's the ship coming? That they sent the distress beacon out, and then there's like a time crunch. They got to get this thing out.
Well, Davros says like it could be days until someone shows up, so he wasn't really worried.
But not unless they say like somebody could have. It's also a prison planet. It's a prison space station, so that's going to be a higher security. Like they literally have one job. It's to keep Davros as a prisoner.
A single prisoner.
So if something goes wrong, I would think they would have some kind of alert system.
Nah,
it's just like, okay, it's fine.
Well, but he was also like frozen the entire time, so I don't
know. But start at the beginning. So like, explain to me the time corridor that gets the Doctor there. So they like they're pulled from the time corridor, but they land outside of it because they have to walk around the warehouse looking for it.
Yeah, I think that was just a result of the Doctor trying to fix the fact that they were stuck in a time corridor and trying to regain control. So he was able to land it, but he definitely did land
outside of it. And that part was cool. I thought the music and the opening, like I thought I was going to love this episode because it
actually, what? I even have in my notes, like the first 10 minutes, there was so much that happened, and I thought this is pretty. So it.
You want to add something? My dog thinking.
I hear you. Hey, buddy.
All right, keep going, Dan.
Nope. Okay, so from the very beginning, the first 10 minutes was just packed full of stuff going on. We have from the opening of a bunch of people in various garb coming out of a doorway that looks like it looked like they were in London someplace, but these people, I couldn't tell if they were from a mix of different times, so I had no idea what was going on then. And then these sinister police officers coming out when everyone's panicked and they start mowing them down with what looked like air rifles. Like, I didn't know if that was supposed to be like an actual gun and that's just the way that the prop worked, or if it was some sort of futuristic gun, but I think that was just a bad prop.
It was supposed to be some kind of futuristic Dalek
no, I don't think it was, because they weren't allowed. No, that was the whole problem that the one of the head guys had with the whole thing was like, you weren't supposed to kill them, we were supposed to capture them and bring them back, but the directive was to not have any foreign alien technology there. So they were using Earth technology of the time.
I totally missed that part. I thought it was some kind of teleport gun.
Nope.
And that's why the bodies disappeared.
Nope.
That was an Earth. We have in 1984 there was an Earth weapon that you could shoot at someone and then teleport them somewhere?
No, the teleporting thing was separate. That was just a thing they did. They just teleported them separately.
Okay, well that's...
Because in 1984 we didn't have that technology. Well, that wasn't until 86 that we had teleporting.
That adds to my dislike of this episode because it was another level of detail that was totally unnecessary. But to your point, like the beginning was cool. Like
it was a level of detail that you added that wasn't actually in the story. So,
but it was cool because you saw like these guys running and the police were there, and then it was just like you were off kilter, and then that guy goes back and now he's on a spaceship. So you go from London streets to weird thing and the bodies disappearing and a spaceship all within, like you're saying, 10 minutes.
And the way that the cops were just like these sinister forces, like I thought it was pretty effective at first. I don't know why the innocent bystander bum had to get shot too, but whatever.
Well, that's like setting the table for this was like, oh, we're going to kill everybody. Like I've never seen this many people die.
Yeah, thank you, Tim B. We'll get back to this email later, but he did recommend that we play a game where we count the number of people killed, which I did, and that was horrifying.
Now, we should say, one of the people in the beginning was the stuttering guy, Stein, who is escaping from the Dalek ship.
Yes.
Even though he's working for the Daleks.
No.
But he's normal there, and then at some point he's switched into a replicant? I think
so. That was one of my questions I was going to ask you, because I didn't know where that happened, that he actually got switched. My assumption was, from the outset, he was a regular prisoner escaping, and then at some point during the story that we were watching, he got captured and turned into a duplicate. I don't know if that's true. Maybe he was just a duplicate the whole time.
Well, you don't see that. A lot of stuff happens off... I was going to say off panel, but off scene or whatever.
Yes.
But again, I don't know. Like that, like when he did the switch and it was like the reveal that he was bad, like to me it didn't feel earned or anything. It was like, okay, I guess they're just it felt like they're just connecting dots to just make the story move when there was no story. Really.
Okay, I mean, I'm not going to say that I thought this was a perfect episode by any stretch. Like, the story had problems, and we'll talk about that. The story had performance issues, and we can talk about that too.
Well, you want to talk about the cast because you mentioned Stein.
Stein, I thought was okay.
Lytton, I thought was good too. Right, so that's the the main bad guy.
Yes.
Who's sort of in charge.
Lytton was,
Lytton. I thought he was pretty good. And I loved
Styles.
She was good.
The woman, the doctor.
She was the doctor who was like tough as nails, and she's
with the headband. She was okay. Here's actually my problem. She was so good that when we first see her, and she's introduced at the same time that we're introduced to Mercer, who's the new guy on the prison ship. He's so bad. She made him look even worse because I thought she was incredible. She was good, and so was Isbin, who was the woman from the beginning who was sort of talking with Mercer, and she's the one that's supposed to kill the cargo. She was great too. That's right.
She died. Like you sort of you're like, oh, okay, these people are going to be important. We're spending time with them, and then they're killed, which is fine. But there's so much of that goes on.
That you don't feel any of them because by the point that she dies, there must have been 24 people already dead. So
yeah, they literally start that scene off with where's so and so we haven't met? They're dead. They're all dead.
Yeah,
they're boarding. So pull down the metal
the bodega
thing. It's time to close the store, and the gas or whatever that melts people's faces. That
was pretty great.
There's some rough. There's very violent. It was like a very angry.
Yeah.
It felt like someone wrote this in a fever dream. Like it was just a weird, a bad night that they had, and they needed a script, and they banged this out in 24 hours.
Running out of whiskey the entire time. So Eric Soward, who wrote this, also wrote The Visitation, which was that... Did
I like The Visitation? I don't remember.
The London Fire, they go back in time, was the London Fire. There's the... yeah, you liked it. Don't worry.
Okay.
So that was interesting. He did Earthshock as well, which is
I see. I like
final Adric episode.
And he is the story editor at this point, right?
I did not see, but he definitely did write this one. And then later writes The Revelation of the Daleks. And maybe explaining part of this too, Matthew Robinson, this is the first Doctor Who story that he directed. So I don't know. Maybe there's some issues there. So some of the performances were hit and miss. I liked Professor Laird. She was the Velma-looking scientist on Earth that was assigned to the bomb. She's
part of the bomb squad that's called in to investigate these Movellan canisters that I guess fell through the time corridor. That's how they landed on Earth?
Sure. That's why they're there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I mean, there's some
that's the other thing. I was like, there's a time corridor, and the location of the Movellan thing's a coincidence? Did they fall through the time corridor? Did they fall some other time to Earth? And then they opened the corridor to get to it. There to get there. It was and I don't remember. I know.
Well, they say something about why, because I was wondering, why are they on Earth? Why again are they on Earth? Why is it always Earth? And I think it was something to do with it's the safest there. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly don't know how the Movellan death capsules of viruses got there. I was actually kind of excited that it was the Movellans, and then we get to see or hear after the fact what happened with the war between the Movellans and
we
the
only
Daleks.
Hear that they won.
That they won and how they won. That there was a stalemate between every time that the Movellans did something, the Daleks countered it, and likewise they were at a stalemate forever until the Movellans decided to use chemical weapons, which is how all good wars are won.
Yeah, and this is almost like a direct sequel to Destiny of the Daleks, which we did review, which I liked a lot more. But I don't remember, did the Dalek leader in this make an appearance in that? Because I don't think so. The Dalek that all of a sudden has an identity.
Yeah, I don't know if that Dalek was referenced or shown in that one. Definitely.
Because he is the main thing. I guess Davros, spoiler again, dies, I guess, at the end of this, because somehow he's even though he's not made of the same material, I don't understand why the when they're just throwing the pesticides around at the end,
why he gets all foamy
with that terrible mask dies, and he's like, well, but I'm not a Dalek. He's even pleading with the audience, who wrote this? This shouldn't be happening. And the Alka-Seltzer caplets are exploding,
shaving cream everywhere,
shaving cream's being shot out.
Man, you loved this episode. So
Mind is,
yeah.
It even says like he calls it. He was been there for 90 years of mind numbing boredom.
Yeah,
I want to be like, this is 90 minutes of mind numbing boredom, and I was like, whoa, there's your tagline.
Hello.
Yeah, but no, I don't think it was that boring. Again, there's many things that were great. It's a hot mess. That's the best.
Okay,
it needed work.
I needs improvement. I actually, for this guy having been the first Doctor Who story that he directed, I was interested in the choice of camera work throughout. There's a lot of continuous shots, a lot of wide shots zooming into extreme facial close-ups, which is very strange. Like the scene that you had mentioned previously when they're on the bridge of the prison ship and they're being boarded, anonymous crew member who's later to have his face melted turns to the camera, and the camera's zooming out and showing everything and zooms all the way in 20 feet into his face where he's just like, we're being boarded, we're going to die. But
you talk about the guy getting his face thing. What about the guy in the? I think it's in the. Was it in the bomb unit that gets infected or whatever? And he just says like, "I gotta leave," and he just leaves, and you never see him again, right? There's like this one guy that gets injured or his face. He just walks off set, and I don't think you ever see him again. Maybe he's in that pile because there's a shot too later where you literally see a pile of dead bodies of people just like thrown in the corner. It's what a.
Yeah, I think it might have been a union thing. He just decided to walk off. I don't know.
It wasn't even related to the thing.
To do with
but was that like? That was just the chemical weapons that they were using that was making the guy's face, because there was no chemical weapon in when they go to free or kill Davros. So it's the woman we said we liked, who I think his name was Isbin, and another guy. And she can't get the safety off to kill Davros. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he's like,
Stabby.
Something's wrong, and his face is melting like Raiders of the Lost Ark. And then she's like, she shoots him, and she's like, "I'm not helping you. I'm not trying to figure out what's wrong. This is a temporary thing." And then they come in and shoot her. But
typical Osborn.
What was that? What happened there?
So the Daleks first try boarding the ship. The Dalek ship's attacking the prison ship. They make contact with it. They send in some Daleks to attack. Apparently,
that was a bad scene.
It was horrible.
That was a bad scene.
I mean, okay. But the crew had the corridors mined, so the mines exploded and destroyed 2 Daleks. I liked seeing the exploded innards of the Daleks all over the place.
That was interesting. Kind of fun. And the fact that you not only saw an exploded innard of a Dalek, but even at that point, they're trying to kill you. And this is later on when they toss the Dalek outside and then bring it back in, and then the thing crawls and they can't find it.
Let's get to that in a minute. Let's go sequence. But to answer your question,
stick with what you're saying.
So the Daleks try boarding, 2 explode. For reasons unknown, the rest of the Daleks decide to retreat. That's not something they typically do. They give up pretty quickly.
But did you find it weird how vulnerable they are? Like,
this episode they really were.
Shoot him in the eyepiece, and then they shoot one of them, and it's just like,
I'm blind.
Like, are they that easy? Because just shoot all of them in the eyepieces.
Yeah,
there's only a dozen of them. But okay, so go on. So they do retreat, and then
they retreat, and they decide to go with the with the plan of the. I don't know how would you describe the Linton and his crew? What are they? Dalek mercenary space marines? Like, I'm not sure. I'm not entirely clear how and why.
No, nobody knows. But so you find out that the Daleks have been doing this for a while, right? So they have this thing where they can clone people.
Yes.
And they can clone enough of your memories where you can pass as a human. So they probably
Is Linton a clone then too? Is everyone a clone?
I assume they're all clones.
Oh,
right?
I don't. Okay.
Yeah,
sure,
I assumed that they were just people that encountered the Daleks and became part of their army. This is a thing that also Davros is great at, because he can just inject you in the neck and turn you into. And why was he doing that? I guess he's a genius, so he could figure out that they weren't going to follow him because there was some business and destiny of the Daleks where they turned on him, right? I feel like that happened.
Yeah.
But it's he hears about the cure, but he doesn't even work on the cure, and he tricks them into thinking that he needs to operate on live tissue of of a what are the Dalek race called? I can't even remember. The people, whatever, it doesn't matter. The thing inside the Dalek.
Yes.
But he's only does that to start building his own army so he could kill the other Daleks. They won't be loyal to him. But he still has the problem of the Movellan virus.
Which he's not even considering at all. So his plan was to engineer a way to make the Daleks loyal to him, or to make new Daleks. I think he just
wanted to go back to sleep because he does mention like, I can't leave here. What if I gotta? You may have to put me down again. Like he brings that up. They're not worried about it, but he's like, I may need a nap. It's been 90 years.
So, okay, so there's a lot of things I'm not clear on that I thought I was, but that's what happens when you watch the story and then don't think about it again. Okay,
yeah, and I feel like I'm being a pain in the ass, but like that's the way to enjoy a lot of this stuff too, is just to have fun with it and not try to find everything that makes sense, because there's probably a line in there somewhere that makes it all clear, but this felt not clear at all.
I'm very moment to moment with this. Like, oh yeah, that's great. Okay, that's great. But which is strange because I love all the continuity stuff from the story, the main myth arcs. But okay, so coming back to it, Daleks retreat. They decide to go with the duplicate stormtroopers plan, which is to use this chemical weapon. So that's why they come in afterwards and they plant this thing and that explodes. So the assumption is that that's just wafting all throughout the ship, because at one point,
I guess Mercer says, so you're saying it goes into the air duct and that somehow was
that's
in
why
that
it's everywhere.
room.
So because Mercer warns Styles later, don't take off your mask. The chemical could still be in the air. So I'm just assuming it just made its way all over the place.
But half the other people aren't wearing their masks anyway, and
I know. And
they're just trying. It becomes a suicide mission, which was kind of cool. Like, okay, so now the whole goal of this is to blow the ship up. So you've got that ragtag group, and they take on the costumes of the other.
Right, they got the guards,
and I don't know. I felt like a little bored too, because and the doctor's whole thing. So he lands, right? So all this stuff is going on. There's a lot of stuff going on. So that's happening, and simultaneously, the Doctor has landed the TARDIS in London, is investigating. He finds the stuttering guy. He's like, I'm looking for a time corridor. He's like, oh, there's one on the second floor. I'll show you. He takes him in. Then we meet that there's a bomb unit there, right? So there's a bunch of guys trying to figure out how to open that Movellan, that dumb tube or whatever.
Yeah.
And then a single Dalek comes, because the Daleks know the Doctor's there, but yet they don't know there's an army of bomb unit people there.
How did they know the Doctor was there?
Who knows? Doesn't matter. They're like, the Doctor's there. The only way that they know the Doctor's there is if that guy already is a fake replicant and he's told them. But that doesn't make any sense.
He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know that he's the Doctor and important to the... I know. My initial, that's a whole other thing I guess you just hit on. But I'm saying, why send one? Doesn't make any sense, no.
And then they just shoot him in the eye, and then they throw him out the window.
Well, they shoot him in the eye, and then he keeps screaming for like a minute solid. Warning, warning, I'm blind. Like, who are you warning? Are you telling everyone that you're blind? Okay, all right.
I'm completely indefensible.
Please don't hurt me. I'm blind.
Don't tickle me there.
But then I actually really enjoyed that they tipped him out the window.
They throw him out the window, which was funny. But then they bring him back in, right? I guess because they don't want anyone to find him. And he's still alive. And that scene... where it's eating the guy's face. Well, first you get a nice little cat thing, which was cute. It's like it's under the...
No, that wasn't first. First was the breathing
so
bubble of goo.
There is
and then it hugs his neck for no reason.
Which was very alien.
I wish they had just shown that. How did it get from the guy sitting across the room... staring at this thing, looking way overreacting his look of horror and disgust at this breathing goo pile... And then cut to another scene, and then come back again, and he's wrestling with it on his neck.
So much happens off screen on this.
I
assume it's probably jumped alien face hugger style onto the guy.
I'm guessing he got down real close to it to see what it smelled like.
Yeah, what's this?
I just guess.
Well, that pretty much happens in Prometheus, but that's a whole other thing. So then they lose it, right? So then all this business is still going on, and then the Doctor Tegan gets hurt, right? I think at this point Tegan gets hurt in the bomb place.
Yes.
He is not interested. She's bleeding from her head. He spends about half a second, not even 30 seconds, at her bedside, and some woman he's never met before. He's like, "You got that right? You're cool. Hey, Turlo, let's go fly the TARDIS into the Dalek ship." So he just abandons her. Oh, and then he's just wandering around the Daleks. It just felt like
he's wandering around. I mean, I don't know what the hell Turlo was doing in this episode.
No,
what was he doing?
He gets separated. He's just creeping around, being
creeping
for dude.
For like half of the story, he's just going from corridor to corridor. At one point, the Daleks are like, "Oh yeah, he's there. I guess he'll be a lure. We'll just let him go." Weird.
Yeah, they calculate that it's good to let him go because it's going to draw the Doctor in. But what about when Turlo?
Hang on. It totally makes sense that he's a lure for the Doctor to come in. That doesn't mean you can't also capture him and let the Doctor know, hey, we have your guy. Yeah. No. Let's just let him wander around and maybe, he'll screw stuff up. But, maybe not. Maybe it's just okay.
And then Turlo runs into the guy you don't like, whose names I'm forgetting. The guy who takes over, Mercer, right?
Mercer, yeah.
Ugh. And convinces him way too early to just his friends are all dead. Let's get out of here. Like, they're in trouble. His friends, like, you just leave him. Let's get out of here.
Mercer didn't really care.
He didn't care. But still, it was like, come on, Turlo, we're trying to turn you into a heroic guy. And
no, actually, I had a note about that too. I was wondering, were they kind of resuming that whole like untrustworthy companion thing they were doing with Turlo?
It felt like, I don't think they were thinking of it like that. It just felt like this show was just a mess. Or this, you know what I mean? Like they didn't...
Would you say it was a hot mess?
Yes. But this is Tegan's last show, though. And for me,
so she got to rest up and just lay down for a while.
She should have been a bigger part of it. She should have had stuff to do. She's in the sleeping bag, and then that's all she does, right? And then she does do it. She escapes only to just everybody conveniently runs into each other so many times in this episode. Yeah. Where they just open a random door and like everyone's there, and even the Doctor's like, "Well, get in. What are you doing out there?" Like it's no big deal that it happened. But there were interesting to see clones of Turlo and Tegan like on deck that they had already built. So they must have been following the Doctor for years. So
let's
was
talk
the time
about that for a second.
Whole, like if it would have made sense if like, okay, this is a grand plot and the time corridor pulled the Doctor on purpose and the guy was a replicant on purpose to plant but it wasn't that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
that.
It would make sense why they already were sitting on these Tegan models, but maybe they've been making Tegan models and it's just a coincidence.
It's all the rage. It's actually a side hustle. They've been selling Tegan and Turlo action figures. Okay, so they have a Tegan and Turlo action pair ready to go. They have cloned, let's just say they cloned Stein off screen. That he wasn't a clone to begin with, but they cloned him at some point. Right. Fine. The whole bomb squad that was there gets captured, and then 5 seconds later, they're all cloned because there's a whole thing about, his gun was, he gave his gun to the Doctor, and then the guy was cloned and he has a gun, so they figured it out. That happened real quick. They capture the Doctor, and they have to take him to the cloning chamber.
Well, I will say...
No. Yeah. Because what they end up doing is they want to take all of his memories. That's fine. But they want to clone him.
They want to lay him down on shipping bubble wrap. Yeah, that was...
He just could have sat there for half an hour just popping it, and it probably would have been more believable.
So what's your issue?
I'm wondering, like, why was everyone else able to be cloned instantaneously? Why couldn't they clone the Doctor and then steal his memory? Like, it just felt like, why? Okay, we're off to the cloning room. Here's 20 minutes.
Right. I will make an argument for them, and I will say all of those other people that were cloned were... single life organisms. They were humans. They were easy to grab the memory. So grabbing the memory from a human may take 30 seconds, whereas the Doctor, it's a whole ordeal. So that's why it took longer.
It's a whole big thing. We got to do a whole wavy video.
You literally have to watch clip after clip of every companion except for... Leela didn't make an appearance, and I looked that up because I was that was weird. That was just an oversight on the editor's part. Like,
Leela. I was thinking, Lala Ward was there, but Leela was not.
So she was accidentally
that's fine.
cut.
I'm fine with missing her.
But I think that's why that would take longer. But that was a very long scene, and then that's the other thing. So then he's the other guy who's the only guy, Stein. He's flipping his things, and he's sort of coming out of it.
Or coming into it. He's starting to get his memories.
Coming out of it, but,
he's getting his memories of being a human, sure.
Right, but he's actually in a different body, but it's the copy that remembers who the source was. Like, that was kind of the most interesting part that...
Right.
Because it gets into
it was like a full copy...
Right.
Yeah, the full copy, but part of the memory's locked off so that they can control him and whatever, but that part started coming to the...
But
it was
right,
interesting.
So then he breaks free, and then he's good again. Or the copy is good.
He has a choice.
But don't they bring in guards from outside and the guards aren't shooting them or they're just standing there? And then, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden they had someone else on the bubble wrap.
Yeah, what
there was this
that
whole
plan?
scene that went down. And I was like, well, why aren't those guys attacking or why are they on the doctor's side? And you know what I mean? There's one.
Yeah, everyone just somehow got on the doctor's side.
It was weird. And then one poor
know.
guy's laying down. So I was like, was a scene cut? Or
you're absolutely right. It was strange to me at the time, but I didn't note it, and I didn't go back to figure out what happened. But it was weird.
Right. It was like all of a sudden everything's fine.
Someone please correct us or explain to us. I'm not going to go back and watch this again.
I'm never watching this.
Because apparently I hate this story. I thought it was great, but now I don't like it anymore. I'm very easily swayed, folks.
But again, it's not bad. Like, I wish...
Well, okay, so let's
many ideas were cool in it. And so many scenes were cool, and I liked a lot of the audio. There was some audio stuff I felt like in the beginning that was just cool. Like, I think there was sounds or something, or was there like lots of close-ups of the feet running through the... I don't remember. It seemed cool. It felt very cinematic.
It seemed cool at the time, but now I don't.
Really cool.
Well, I mean,
I was totally high. I have no idea what I was watching.
So there was... I was talking about like the camera choices, the way that things were shot. I mean, there was the whole thing when Tegan decides she tries to hide a Movellan virus tube in her bed to make it look like she's sleeping there. They all, thank goodness, they were both like, yeah, that doesn't look good. They didn't actually try to pass it off.
They literally have a scene.
You.
I'm glad you said that because I should have wrote that down. They have a scene where they spent a long time setting up a Ferris Bueller situation where they've got the thing, but they don't even use it. They both are like, this won't work. And then someone comes and they undo that. And I was like, why did we just watch this go by? And then she gets back into bed. And then the woman she's with is sort of helping her, and she just eventually just gets killed. Right? Yeah. Doesn't she run for her life and they shoot her? It's like some violent end to her.
Very unceremoniously, just like everyone else that dies in this. Yeah. I mean, okay, so what I was going to say is Tegan escapes somehow. I mean, yeah, she gets out of there.
And leaves. Because they keep leaving people alone in rooms. Like, they have an endless supply of army, I guess.
There's one sergeant who comes in and says, you can give it up now. We know that you know. And then we're going to be transported to the Dalek ship, and then turns around and walks away.
That's what I'm talking about. This episode is terrible. That scene does happen. And he's got really no way of knowing that they know. He just walks in and goes, you're not fooling anybody. I know you know. I got to go. And that's, I think, shortly after that is when Tegan leaves.
Please decide to stay. We would enjoy it if you stayed, please. Okay, so Tegan leaves, runs down the street, and immediately gets captured again by the cops. She's getting chased by these cops, starts going down some stairs towards the river, and the cops shoot a guy for no reason. And Tegan screams.
I forgot about that poor guy that's crabbing. He's been working. It's the only job.
Was he crabbing or was he?
I don't know. He
was
a
metal detector trying to find some any scrap metal to survive.
Did he have a metal detector? And he just gets killed.
They have the gun pointed at Tegan, and they decide, nope, gonna shoot that guy instead.
And the doctor shoots somebody in this too, right? Doesn't it? The doctor gets a gun and puts an end, like, because they want to make sure the person's dead, right?
The doctor shoots a Dalek innard
because he's angry.
It wasn't a person.
He makes a point too. He's going to go kill Davros. Because if you remember back, Tom Baker spared, and it was like that's why the doctor is who the doctor is, because he would spare. Yes. Not this doctor. He's going to go.
I mean, that was the tension they're trying to set up. Is like, is he really going to make this choice? It just didn't happen to play out with any sort of impact or gravitas.
No, because when that confrontation happens, I don't even remember what happens.
Who's that good?
Davros is just like,
you're not
I'm
going
to make the Daleks different. That's all. And he's like, oh, okay. And then something else happens, right?
Right. No, yeah. Davros kind of cons him into thinking like, oh, I'm going to give them, you're going to free
give them
will
compassion?
to be able to actually, feel maybe compassion. But his whole rationale was like, I'm going to change them so they have this ability to think for themselves or to feel this, empathy, because maybe that's going to be a tactical advantage for them to then take over the rest of the galaxy. Like,
it doesn't. No,
it wasn't like for any altruistic reason. It was like, I'm going to make them better killing machines by letting them be able to think like other people do.
Yeah. No, his decision to not.
But then the doctor's like, okay, I'm cool with that. That's cool. Maybe that's fine.
Such a mess. And then I guess the whole thing is over, right? Because so this happens. Then does the doctor leave Davros? Just leaves him? I don't remember how the doctor and see. I can't even remember how that scene ended.
Meet up. Yeah, they were going to meet up for drinks later.
No, in all seriousness, how does the doctor and Davros get separated? Because the Davros eventually is confronted by Daleks, and then he poisons them only to poison himself. But how does the doctor leave Davros? He just decides that he's going to take off?
I might not have watched that part. No, I watched the whole thing.
You remember, though, for real?
I literally have no idea how that happened.
All right, so he somehow ends up back at the top.
Folks, we're supposed to be reviewing this story, and neither of us can remember key points because it was that compelling. I honestly don't recall. How did he...
Yeah, so then he gets back at the TARDIS, and then the war is going on, and that part was cool, too. I like the idea of two factions of Daleks fighting each other.
Yeah.
And then they just throw out the pesticide, which is going to give somebody cancer at some point.
Oh, yeah. No. Anybody who moves in, when they
renovate that building and put high-end apartments in there, somebody's going to have a bad phone call.
There's going to be a lot of
yeah, so they throw that out, and they get rid of all the Daleks, and they go home, right? And that's it?
Yeah, they're done.
And then, no, after the death, and there's just bodies everywhere, Tegan is like... This isn't fun.
This sucks,
and you know
guys.
what? I'm like, she's right. It's not fun.
Yeah.
And then she's gone.
So let's talk about that. What
that's probably one of the main reasons why I really didn't like this, because I do like Tegan, and yes. I felt like this was not the story for her to leave on.
She said, Aunt Vanessa said, when you go off to be a stewardess, if it's not fun anymore, quit.
And I know, because I was a stewardess for 15 minutes.
Did she even get to be... I mean, she got dropped off now. So when she re-met the dog, remember she got left behind.
She did eventually make it to the airport.
After Concord.
Yeah.
Yes. But then we see her again in Arc of Infinity when she's bumming around Europe for a while. So, but that's in 83. In the story, that's in 1983, and in this story, it's 1984. So she kind of gets dropped off right where she wants to be. So
it's convenient. She did the right thing. I just wish that it was a better story for her, and it felt like there was no. When Nisa left, like it was. I think such a great way for a companion to leave. She was doing something noble. Yes. I felt like there was an emotional ending scene that happened.
Sure. Same with Romana when she left.
This was just like Turlo.
Romana had like an actual thing to go do. Sarah Jane's the only other one where it's just like, okay, bye, Sarah Jane. She just decided.
This is closer to that because you get Tegan alone in like the darkness. She says like Braveheart Tegan or whatever the doctor would say to her, and then she said something else like I'm going to miss you, doctor, or something. I mean. But no one's there. She says it to a room full of corpses and pesticides and dead doll. And you better hope they're all dead.
She's got to get out of there.
Yeah, one of those things.
Actually, we don't know. Do we know what happens to her after this? I mean, I hope maybe there's some pros that she got out of the. She never actually made it out of that building, did she?
Yeah, I don't. No. Well, I don't think she's in the show again, other than maybe flashback scenes. I think this is the last appearance of her, which is a shame.
And apparently they like to do the flashbacks. There's been several of them in the stories we reviewed even recently. This was pretty extensive.
Yeah, you got a lot of flashbacks. And then Turlo is still with us,
so soon on the heels of the Five Doctors too, where we had a significant sort of retrospective fan service. And now
it's a good time killer. It's like you want to kill 15 minutes at a time.
Just review all the companions he's ever had.
Take the Doctor close to death, so you can see those same shots.
So what you're saying is you really enjoyed this one
as
much as I did.
I really didn't like it. And I wanted to, and I I went from really liking, because I felt like I almost texted you like after the first 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this one's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And then it just went south, and it just kept going. Quick. And then I was like, what? Why? What? And I don't know. It was bad.
So this Davros that we have here,
terrible. It's a terrible Davros.
Boy,
too.
he goes from like, he has 2 levels, normal and raving crazy.
Yeah,
and
just
he stays
screaming.
At raving crazy, screaming. He goes to 11 at all times, at any moment. So it was just so over the top. I mean, I honestly love when his chair starts foaming and he's dying, and he just has that one arm and he just sticks it out and starts like just hanging out there screaming with one arm just in rictus out in front of him. I don't know what he was doing with that arm.
He is not a good Davros. He is not the same guy that did it before. So it's clearly, I think, obvious, because the mask does not fit, and it just felt so much cheaper than it has, and it's felt cheap before.
Well, I mean, this is the one.
It's not the guy from Genesis of the Daleks. Maybe it was the one from the last one we saw, but
this is the same.
Who I think of as Davros.
Yeah, which is, I mean, they call this the Wikia that this is like the main actor associated with it, but
it is
in terms of the way that he's.
I'm surprised then. I thought it was someone else, because his like you said, I thought the acting was terrible.
It's just so over the top the entire time. Well, he'd been holding it in for 90 years, so he had a lot to get off his chest. He was conscious the entire time. I mean, yes, that was crazy. I think the fact that he had that little green glowing mind control thing ready to go, hooked up to a switch on his control panel to just pop it out whenever he needs it. That shows a lot of forethought. He was just ready to go at any moment, could just pop that thing out and go. So that's fun. Actually, is this his first one in this? Resurrection of the Daleks, Attack of the Cybermen comes later. This actually might be his first. He's the 3rd actor to portray the character.
All right, so it is a new actor.
All right,
it's not the same one. Because the guy that was in Genesis of the Daleks was perfect. I thought that guy was perfect. Like the character had depth. That it wasn't such a screaming disaster.
Yeah,
but you're right. I mean, the acting in this was not good. Except I think half of the people were really good. But Davros and the stuttering guy. I thought the stuttering guy was so bad.
I liked his earring though. So
he did have a space earring. I forgot about that. Earring. He was like, oh, okay.
He was very cool. It's very 80s.
But it was very funny to watch him die, and his death scene was so stupid.
As it goes like weird slow-mo when he jumps, he like has a weird smile on his face and jumps onto the self-destruct.
All right, so while we're at the end...
I like the self-destruct thing too, is they're just kind of randomly flipping dials and switches. Yeah. Like, it is absolutely clear.
When that woman's like, I'm actually getting this to work. Like, where she has that moment.
Because the thing comes back. Who knows? For all she knows, that thing might be the death ray that's going to pop out of it. So,
all right, so question for you. So,
what's
the name of the Dalek that is in charge, that for some reason has a personality?
Supreme Dalek?
Supreme Dalek.
Yeah.
Is he on the Dalek ship, or are they talking to him from some other planet?
Ooh, I had assumed he was on the Dalek ship.
So you think he dies at the end? Because the prison and the Dalek ship blow up at the end. I thought maybe he's on another planet.
Maybe.
But I don't know. I don't know if is he a character we see again? Is this the same one that was in the modern show? Didn't they have a Supreme Dalek in the New Who?
Yeah, I don't know if it is the same one or if there's another Supreme Dalek.
Because they do set up something interesting, which is the whole Invasion of the Body Snatchers thing, that we've planted people that look like humans, but they're really... That's like something I don't... Have they done that?
No, that was like a twist. That was kind of a fun thing.
Right, like, so I don't know if that
they go off in the current... Yeah, I have no idea if they do or not. But there's people in positions of power all throughout Earth. Was it Linton that actually goes off at the end as dressed as a police officer?
Yes, yeah. So that was cool too. And so you're like, okay, this guy's out there, so maybe we'll see this again. And maybe you said he does another Dalek show, right? The guy who wrote this.
Yes, he does.
So maybe
we'll see him again.
Maybe that's where it ends up.
Can I ask you another question? Yes. Why did the clone Dalek troopers have to wear helmets that look like Daleks? I don't understand what those helmets were. Why did they have to have little eye stalks and then the Dalek bubbles on the back?
I don't know.
I don't
this
understand.
Thing happened.
It was Spaceballs. It was 100% Spaceballs and Dark Helmet. It was
stupid.
So ridiculous. And at one point he takes Styles. No, not Styles. Sorry,
Styles. I wish it was Styles from Teen Wolf. That made an appearance in this.
At one point, Linton takes the helmet off by grabbing the eye stalk piece of the helmet. And is that what it's for? Is it just the handle?
An easy handle
to take? It was so silly.
So did I win you over that this is a dumb...
this is a pretty good one. I loved it. It was one of my favorites. So yeah, all around, top 10 stories I've ever seen.
That's pretty much where you started from, I think.
It is where I started. I really like this one a lot. I have to say, okay.
I don't think you're alone. I think people probably like it,
I
right?
enjoyed the heck out of it while watching it. It's only when I come back and have to talk to you schmuck, that you make me end up hating
I think if you look at this one as like as so bad it's good, like I could probably watch that
there's
guy.
There's a place for that, but that's not what I'm in it. That's not what I'm in Who for. Like I like the. I mean, there are things where it's like, okay, that's just laughable and I'll enjoy it because it's cheesy. But for the most part, I really like. Even if it's not executed perfectly, even if the budget is thin for the things they need to do, I really enjoy when they really just go for things.
Yeah.
And this one, like you said, I think they had a lot of ideas. They just couldn't execute on all of them at the level that...
I believe I coined the term hot mess.
You did come up with that yourself.
I made that up in this very podcast. No one's ever said that.
No one's ever said it before.
But yeah, I don't know. Disappointment on this end. You liked it. And I enjoyed it at the time.
And that's fine. Thank you.
I had parts of it I liked. I liked Tegan. Tegan's gone now. I guess we should talk about Tegan. She had a...
What are we going to do with Turlo? Just Turlo. I can't with just Turlo.
Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but I know...
Okay, don't tell me. I don't want to know.
I know an episode... Not the next episode. I've never seen it, but I know the one after that, so I have an idea. But to talk about Tegan, she had a sort of a hard go. Sometimes she was written well, sometimes she wasn't.
Yes, sometimes underused. I think the problem we always had with her was they didn't know what to do with her at sometimes. And her relationship, honestly, her relationship with this doctor.
No, he's terrible. Yeah, he's terrible to her. She's literally, as I said, she's bleeding from the head, and he's like, "You got it. You're fine. You're fine, stranger."
The stranger's got you. We're good.
No wonder she left. And she does the whole thing, as you mentioned last review, in heels. She's walking around in high heels the whole time.
Thank goodness, at least she's going to be able to take those shoes off and maybe put on some slacks instead of a leather mini at all times. She honestly looked fantastic. There's the one scene after the cops shoot the poor guy on the riverbank. They walk her back to the warehouse. And it's the one cop on either side of her walking around a corner. And the camera kind of like starts and then kind of pulls back and sweeps around. And she just has this defiant walk to her that just looks so killer. It's great.
She's awesome.
She's really awesome. I'm honestly gonna miss her terribly.
I'm gonna miss Tegan. I definitely feel like, maybe it's because we've gotten so many shows now where it's 3 companions.
Yeah.
That it's hard to get too close to one because there's always some other thing going on.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, right, because they don't have enough story to go around for everyone, so you don't really get to know everyone. Like, honestly, maybe on the other hand, maybe it would be good to have a couple stories. I know we're not going to get that many. It'd be nice to have a couple stories with just Turlo and the Doctor, so we could actually learn more about Turlo.
I can't wait for him to go.
But that's what I'm saying. But we felt the same thing about Adric until he died. Oh God,
but I don't want any more Adric stories either, for the record.
Okay, are you not getting any more? Well, I was going to ask you about this one that I'm funding. I have a GoFundMe page.
No, but I get your point. If
maybe they could just focus on give
them a story, and that's why I feel like with Nissa or whatever, like her last show was about her in a lot of ways, and I feel like that's what they should do when they get rid of a companion. Or like even...
show them a little bit of some...
Adric had a whole sacrifice, and we talked about whether or not it was meaningful. But it was something, and Tegan was he just sort of gave up.
At least he thought it was. Yeah. So that's something, yeah.
But
just like, I'm done.
Do you have anything else to talk about with this? Because we have to do an announcement before I forget, because I never updated the schedule page.
We'll go for it, and then we'll do email, and then we'll go.
Yes. Oh, did we get an email? Maybe we should read the email about it. Someone recommended we do a particular episode, so you do the email.
No, it wasn't that. It was Tim. Tim wrote to us and just said that he was watching Frontios while he was writing to us. So hope you enjoyed that one. He says, as far as Resurrection of the Daleks, here's a fun game. Try to keep track of the total number of deaths in that story. The body count is insane. Not sure where they were going for at the time between that and the 45-minute episodes. So that is strange. He also does say, also not sure if you ever saw A Fish Called Wanda, but I think Michael Palin must have been watching Stuttering Stein when he came up with this character for Ken.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun. I had to go back then. I haven't watched Fish Called Wanda in a long time.
Either have. That's a great movie.
I love that movie. But Kevin Kline is he's the movie. Kevin Kline is funny. Makes fun of Ken is great. So the body count, sorry, real quick. So the body count that I came up with.
Oh, you actually counted.
I did.
Good on you, Dan.
I saw this email and I went back and as I was watching, I was keeping track. And some happen off screen and some there's a fool me, like the one person you think is dead wasn't. Anyway, so I had a total of 54.
Oh my gosh.
That we see.
They mentioned so many.
3 people, I'm assuming, died of the initial poison gas attack, but we don't actually see them die.
Right.
We see the one guy melt, so I counted him, but then there were 3 other people with him. We don't see them, so I assume that they're going to die. Now, an asterisk, I don't know how many of those were all duplicates, so who knows for sure. And then to top it all off, the entire ship explodes. So honestly, who really knows? But we saw, from my count, 54, plus 7 Daleks died.
Yeah, no, it was the most violent we've seen.
It was crazy. And then maybe a Davros died as well. So
yeah, they had it out for old strange men in the streets of London,
just mowing people down.
And like that one scene where the bomb squad captain, he gets the gun to his head. Now at that point, I thought he was dead, but you figure out he was killed, but first made into a clone or whatever. But it was just very the imagery was very not kid friendly, but.
No,
I guess this was Doctor Who After Hours, yeah. But as far as the email, I was referring to the email we got from David H, which I have. Do you have it?
Yep.
You have it. Okay.
Planet of Fire is a story you should definitely cover because 2 companions leave and a new one is introduced in that story. Also, that is where you get all the background and story behind Turlough.
Now, I will say, I wonder, he mentions 2 companions leaving. I'm assuming he means Tegan, who left in this one, right? There's not another companion. Maybe a companion comes
he says
and
Planet
goes.
of Fire, he says that 2 companions leave and a new one's
Who's the
introduced.
second companion, then, if Tegan already left?
I have no idea. I haven't seen Planet of Fire.
Is there a companion in the TARDIS we haven't seen that we missed in the last episode?
There's someone hiding in the back the entire time.
So we want to do that. So please, we're going to update the schedule page. We were supposed to do Caves of Adrazani next. We will not do that. We will do, what is it? What's the name of it? Fire Planet? Planet of Fire?
Planet of Fire.
Planet of Fire next. So by December 13th, we will have a review up of Planet of Fire. So you have until now and then, December 13th, to watch it. Resurrection of the Daleks will then be done... Or we'll go up on January 3rd of 2018, and we will end our Peter Davison run.
Wait, say that again? I think you got the wrong story there.
No, dude. I got the dates wrong. So Resurrection of the Daleks is going up.
You're listening to 13th. It right now. That's what we're doing.
Then Cave of Fire, Planet of Fire is January 3rd. Right? I have that right.
And then after that,
we really have to update. So apologies if you were writing that down.
And then Twin Dilemma, etc. Yeah. So we got it. So next one, your assignment after this is to go watch Planet of Fire, and we'll review that for you guys. That will be the first one of the new year that you get to hear. We're going to actually record that right around New Year's Eve, so we'll do a little bit of that.
We I guess we ruined the sort of the. What's the word I'm looking for? The serendipitous moment of having Davison end at the end of the year and starting a new year with Colin Baker. But
that's fine. We're gonna have one more.
So we'll still have a little bit of Davison in January.
One more Davison. We'll go out on a bang. Because why should 2018 be any better than 2017?
I'm not. I gotta tell you this. I'll tell you this right now. I'm not looking forward to Colin Baker. I really hope that that's not the thing that makes me really rethink why I did this podcast.
Maybe he's great. Maybe he's just
I'm going to have an open mind. We talked about it in the first episode of this show that we did. I have heard the several Big Finish Colin Baker stories that I really like, so I'm going to give him a chance. But everything I've seen seems terrible. So.
We go into it hoping for the best.
Yeah, I'm hoping for the best.
We'll keep trying to do that. And I think that's it. Anything else we want to talk about there? Nope. Okay, so you can tweet at us at TODW show on the Twitter machine. You can email us at theolddoctorwhoshow@gmail.com. You can Facebook us at
FaceTime
Facebook.com/TODWS.
Yeah. Everything's TODWS except for Twitter and Instagram, which I think are...
Instagram. I always forget about.
Is Instagram TODW show, too?
Show, yeah.
We should just all have the same one.
Nope. We're going to have all separate ones. You can you can check out Instagram for the GIFs that we make for this show, but you can also check it out on theolddoctorwhoshow.com. You can check out the show page. We'll have a gallery there of all of the GIFs that we put together. Yeah. These little funny little
share
snippets.
Those on
share them
favorite
out,
platform.
and you'll get to enjoy them in your Twitter feed as well. So until next time, when we review Planets of Fires.
What's that Planets movie?
Fires of
City of Fire? No, what's that fire movie where it's like a bikers or something in LA?
Leaving the
Cube? What I'm talking about?
No.
And they're singing. Forget it.
BMX?
Ignore everything I'm saying.
Xanadu?
I wish it was Xanadu. That's what we should have done.
The Xanadu podcast is up next, folks. We will talk to you in 3 weeks.
Yep. See you, everybody.
Bye.
Peace.
Okay,
you know what I'm talking about? It's with Willem Dafoe.
I wasn't recording.
You're a hot mess. You act like you've got nothing to lose. But I've already lost my temper.
I put my loving on the line for you, lady, but my spirits were low. I would've committed a crime for you, baby. Yeah, it got out of control. I know my temper's been gone crazy. I need somebody. What? I need someone. Your love is real, but I just feel suffocated. I feel so lonely. What?